So today we are going to see our main topic, that is IC engine cooling systems. Okay. So let's start. Everyone knows that any IC engine, any internal combustion engine, the fuel is burned and that heat generated is converted into mechanical work output. Correct? But what happens if there is excess heat? So excess heat having a various adverse effect on the engine and its performance. So we have to cool down the engine. So what are the different cooling processes and cooling mediums? So we are going to check out in this today's video. So let's start. So why require engine cooling? So first, the biggest issue and the single sentence, that is to eliminate any adverse effect due to overheating of engine. Only for this reason we provide a cooling. Now overheating, so we observe that when a coolant level is dropped than specified reading, and if you drive your vehicle continues, so after some time you get a overheating of your engine, then it may having a various adverse effect, that it may burn various systems. It may produce a thermal cracks if engine get overheated because cooling is not there. So whatever be the excess heat is there, it is delivered to the cylinder block, and cylinder block is not meant to absorb that much heat. So thermal cracks formation started. So if cylinder block having a thermal crack like this, so after that, whenever you top up your coolant, so coolant may enter into the combustion chamber through this thermal crack. That is also the possibility. And secondly, thermal cracks and all these damage your cylinder block, and uh, soon you have to change your engine. Okay. Secondly, not only cylinder block, there may be a damage of piston. Piston may having a thermal cracks, may having a itching problems, overheating, may having a rubbing problem, because if piston get overheated, so it will expand beyond the set limit and it is going to rub your cylinder lining when it is reciprocating inside the engine. Next is that is called piston seize. What is a piston seize? That means your engine is too much overheated that your piston gets stuck due to the expansion, and it stuck so hard, just like a press fit arrangement. Now you have to throw your engine completely because it is not possible to replace the piston and lock. So there is no way to sort out this problem. So you have to change your engine. That is called piston seize, and this is because of extreme overheating. Next is many times we observe that exhaust pipe get overheated, it become red hot, and that may cause such kind of incident where your vehicle get burned. So all these issues are related to your cooling system, and to avoid all these issues we have to provide a cooling. Now cooling to any IC engine are categorized in two parts: direct cooling and indirect cooling. Direct cooling means where cooling medium directly come in a contact of that particular part of where we have to dissipate the heat. We have to remove the heat. Indirect cooling. So indirect cooling, there is an intermediate cooling fluid. So direct cooling, that is called air cooling, and indirect cooling, that is called water cooling. Why it is indirect cooling? Because whatever be the cooling medium, that is water, is circulated surrounding the engine. It extract the excess heat from engine, then it come into the radiator, and in radiator that hot water dissipate its heat to the incoming air. That means ultimately your heat is exhausted into the atmosphere. But here we are using water as an intermediate fluid. But in air cooling system, your surrounding air directly come in a contact of engine parts and it extract the heat directly. So it is called direct cooling and this is called indirect. So this is our bike engine, and bike engine mostly we are found that it is a air cooled engine. No doubt some bikes come with a liquid cooling system also, but most of the economic bikes come with a air cooling. What is air cooling? So cylinder block, that is a blue shaded, and cylinder head, both are provided with a extended surface that is called the fins. Why we provide these fins? So fins are actually extend the heating surface so that the air get a larger area to extract the heat from the surface. So we get a sufficient cooling. But no doubt, air-cooled engine always work at a higher temperature than your water-cooled engine. But these engines are made to work on that higher temperature range. So we provide a air cooling system. Now there are some advantage of air cooling system. First is the cooling medium is air with high temperature and air. Engine become lightweight and simple in design as there is no water jacket, radiator, cooling medium, pumps, and piping arrangement. So if we provide liquid cooling, so our cylinder block, cylinder head should be provided with cooling jackets. So manufacturing cost will increase. Then we have to provide a water pump, water circulation system, then radiator, and all these things. So it will become a heavyweight engine. So air-cooled engine is always a lightweight. Then the air cooling system is a less costly and installation of the system is easy. So definitely many parts are removed in air cooling system. So cost wise it is cheap and installation is easy because there is no any arrangement to install a air cooling system. It is inbuilt fins are there. Now next is advantage, the problems like leakage of coolant, loose connection of piping arrangement, etc. are absent. So as there is no any cooling system, that is a coolant system, connections, piping, so all these problems are eliminated in air cooling system. No antifreeze solution required. Antifreeze solution we use in a cold weather condition, just like if suppose you are driving your bike, okay, in suppose Kashmir area where atmospheric condition is very low, the many time it reach to the minus degree centigrade, correct? So air don't have any issues. But if it is a water cooled bike or water cooled engine, so when it is running, when your engine is hot, there is no issue. But when you uh, stop your vehicle over the night, whatever be the water inside the cooling system get freezed. It become ice. So to avoid icing or freezing of that water, we have to pour antifreeze solution. This solution increase the freezing point. So at that particular minus degree also, your water does not become change its phase and it will not convert into ice. But in air cooling, there is no requirement of such solution. And the last advantage is it is almost maintenance free cooling system because we observe in a bike for cooling purpose, we never do any kind of maintenance, correct? So fins are inbuilt and we never do any kind of replacement or any servicing of fins. Next, it having some drawback also. If having some advantage, so along with advantage, having some limitations, drawback. First drawback, heat transfer rate is less due to low heat transfer coefficient of air. Thus, the system can use for low capacity engine. Now to elaborate this, suppose you have air and air at 10 degrees centigrade and you have a liquid at 10 degrees centigrade. So liquid at 10 degrees centigrade can cool down any hot object at a faster rate than 10 degrees centigrade air. Why? Because air having a less capacity to extract the heat, that is called heat transfer coefficient, and water having higher capacity to extract the heat. So same temperature, but if it is a liquid, then liquid always having a higher heat transfer coefficient than air. So air itself having a low heat transfer coefficient, so it extract very less amount of heat. So if your engine required a high degree of coolness, so you can't go with the air cooling system. We have to shift over to water cooling or coolant. Next drawback is cooling is not uniform. It may cause a distortion of cylinder. This is very important. In a bike, it is a air cool system. When your bike is moving, so from front side, whatever be the air blows, strike on an engine, that frontal portion get cooled down easily because air is directly come in a contact of that frontal portion. But what about the backside of that engine, back of that engine portion? Even though there is a fins, but air is not directly strike on backside. So if you check out, so frontal area having a lesser temperature than backside area. So there are partition. So back area always having higher temperature as compared to frontal, and this may cause distortion of cylinder. So uneven expansion, uneven cooling cause the distortion of cylinder. Next drawback, cylinder wall temperature are high. So obviously it is air cooled system. So air having a less capacity to extract the heat. So always these engines are having a higher temperatures. If fan is used to improve heat transfer rate to lower the cylinder wall temperature, 5 to 10% of power is lost to run the fan. So suppose backside of engine don't have any direct airflow. If you are using a fan over there, so fan will run on the engine power itself. So extra 5 to 10% of power loss will increase to run that particular fan. Specific fuel consumption is high. So fuel consumption in air cooled engine is always high. And that is a specific fuel consumption. Okay. So next, it limits the use of compression ratio. We know that higher temperature reduce the volumetric efficiency. Higher temperature promote the tendency to knock. So we can't go with a rising a compression ratio because your engine already at a elevated temperature. It is working at elevated temperature. And the last disadvantage, it use limited to scooter and motorcycles. Even though in bike also we found KTM bikes, it come with a liquid cool engines. Now the second is water cooled engine. So water cooled engine, we know that there is a radiator. Whatever be the water circulated surround the all cylinder, it will come out and supply to the top of radiator, and from top of radiator it will due to gravity flow down, and meanwhile air flow will be there and air will cool down it, and the cold water again recirculate to engines. So this is a liquid cool or water cooling. But to provide this cooling, we have to provide this kind of jackets, water jackets, and these water jackets internally exactly surrounding to these all cylinders and interconnected. So water entering to first, it will circulate surrounding first cylinder, then transfer to second water jacket, then third, likewise. It is internally connected and the last one it will come out, and this last one outlet will connect it to radiator top. So that means we have to provide a cooling jackets, and manufacturing of this block become a costlier. Now it having some advantages. Cooling system is compact in size because we don't require to provide a fins for that much heat extraction. So for the same size of engine, if we go with the air cooling system, so engine size become too large. So by providing liquid cooling, we can reduce the size of engine. Heat transfer rate is high, thus it is used for heavy duty engines. So air cooled engine we can use only for scooter, mopeds, and even the bikes, but not for trucks or any heavy duty because it having limited heat extraction capacity. But water cooled, it can be used for heavy duty. More even cooling is achieved because these engines are not depend on airflow. It is depend on water circulation, and water circulation surrounding to each cylinder is designed as per the requirement. So more even cooling is achieved. Volumetric efficiency of the engine is high because engine mostly is working at a rated temperature condition, so volumetric efficiency is high. And air cooled engine always working on higher temperature, so volumetric efficiency is reduced. And the last advantage, the engine may locate anywhere conveniently as cooling and not depend on air motion. So in a bike, we observe all engines are installed such a way that whenever your bike is moving, air blow will directly strike on the engine. We never put our engine on the back side of your bike. Okay, but water cooled engine you can locate anywhere because it is not depend on air motion. It depends on water circulation. Along with some advantages, water cooling system having some disadvantages. First, water cooling system required a radiator, water pump, and other hose pipes, which increase overall weight of the system. Second, engine performance relate to climatic condition. That means if you are using this water cooling system in a Kashmir area where uh, your temperature become a minus degree, then this water cooling system will not perform correctly. It needed antifreeze solution in cold situation to increase the freezing point. Scale formation in water jackets, which reduce the heat transfer rate. So what is the scale formation? We use normally that oil water heater. After some time, we observe that there is one layer is there, and that layer restrict or produce a barrier for heat transfer such that when your water circulate through these engines, so inside this water jacket there is again layer is formed, and this layer reduce the heat transfer rate. So after some time we have to clean all these water jackets. Cost and maintenance of the system is high. Definitely we have to maintain this cooling system, so the cost, even the replacement parts and maintenance is high. Then cooling system fails if adequate water level is not maintained. Again, a drawback. In air cooling system, there is no requirement of maintaining any particular quantity of air because air is everywhere. But in water cooling system, we have to maintain a particular quantity of water inside your cooling system always. Now, the last portion of this today's video, that is a water cooling system types. So there are 5 types: thermosiphon cooling system, pump assisted thermosiphon cooling system, thermostatic regulator type cooling system, pressurized water cooling system, and evaporating type cooling system. So this will be our aim if we cover all these. So first, thermosiphon cooling system. So as we know that thermosiphon, that means due to temperature difference. And this is a very early age when we invent the water cooling system in IC engine. So In early age, what happened? We provide a cooling system, cooling jacket surrounding to the cylinder. But there is a one inlet which is connected to radiator bottom heater, bottom tank, and this water is circulated to cylinder, but there is no any force circulation. When engine is running, this water become hot. Hot water having a lesser density, so due to less density, it will travel upward, and cold density water replace it. So like that, unless this water become a low density, it cannot travel towards upward direction. Once it become a low density, then it will travel upward due to density difference, and then when it reach to outlet, then this hot water will enter to the top tank, and then by gravity again move down, and during its motion it gets cooled. So that means water circulation is not provided by any external means. It is only because of density difference. So hot water density and cold water density difference. So this is called thermosiphon type of water cooling. And this is definitely not adequate to provide a sufficient cooling. Next is pump assisted. So to remove that drawback, we provide one pump in thermosiphon system. Now, water circulation is not depend on your density difference. It is depend on your circulation pump. So we provide external mean pumps. Now, the water from bottom tank of radiator forcefully circulated surrounding the engine, and due to that force, it will move out from the engine and reach to the upper tank. So cooling is there. But what happens? As soon as you start the engine even not reach to its working temperature, but this cooling medium continuously flowing and extracting the heat. So engine takes a lot of time to reach the its working temperature, and meanwhile we lost its performance. So that is the drawback, because it kept your engine under cool condition for a long time. So that drawback is eliminated by using a thermostat valve. So in the outlet before the radiator top tank, we provide one thermostat valve. Now what happens when we start engine in cold condition? So pump will circulate water. That water extract the heat and come out. And as the water is not reached to that much temperature, so engine is undercooled. So we are not supplying this water to radiator top tank, because thermostat valve stop your water to move towards radiator tank. It recirculate again towards pump. So this warm water again come to the pump and come again shift this warm water to engine. So warm water continuously rotating around your engine, so your engine become preheated and reach to its working temperature very soon. And as soon as your engine become a working temperature, then your water coming out from the engine having a sufficient temperature, and due to that high temperature, your thermostat valve now allow water to move in a radiator tank. So by using this thermostat valve, early undercooling of engine is eliminated, because we are circulating the same water, preheated water, again and again till your engine reach to your normal working temperature. How this thermostat valve work? So this is the internal cut section of thermostat valve. So whatever be the water coming from engine, if it is not heated to that extent, so it will come here. This is a bellows, that is thermostat valve having this bellows, and bellows it having a ether fluid. If this water don't have that much temperature, so ether fluid will not expand that much. If it is not expanded, so this wall remain closed, so water cannot move ahead. It will recirculate towards pump, and this warm water continuously circulating to the engine. Once engine reach to its working temperature, so this water reach to sufficient temperature. When this water enter here, so due to high temperature, this ether fluid expand that much, this wall get open. And once this wall get open, so this hot water will enter to the top of a radiator tank. So now a regular cooling will possible. Now the second last, pressurized water cooling system. We know that our water is boiled at 100 degrees centigrade. But what happens if your engine working at 120 degrees centigrade? Suppose your sports cars are there, which are working on water cooling system, and that sports car engine reach to 120 degrees centigrade. But our water boils at 100 degrees centigrade. So after 120, definitely it is not going to provide a cooling. So we provide pressurized water cooling system. In pressurized water cooling system, we provide a one cap at a radiator, and this having a spring loaded cap. So it increase the pressure on your water. So water boiling temperature get rise. Now due to providing this pressure, your water will not boil at 100 degrees centigrade. It might be boiled at 130 degrees centigrade. So even your engine is reached to 120 degrees centigrade, but still it is providing cooling. Now it having some drawback also. It apply the pressure and increase the boiling point, okay. But when we stop the engine, so your hot water become cold and it will produce a vacuum inside the radiator and radiator get collapsed. To eliminate that problem, this pressurized cap having a vacuum wall also. So when radiator having a higher temperature, so this wall due to that pressure, it remains closed, and this spring will provide a pressure, so boiling temperature will be high. When we stop our engine, as the water cool down, so negative pressure will created, and due to that, this wall cool down against this spring tension, and as the opening is provided, so from outside pressure will be released and there will be no collapse. So it will work when high pressure is there, it will work when there is a vacuum. And the last, evaporative type of cooling system. Evaporative, that means your water completely get evaporated. So this is the system. In radiator at the bottom side, we found the water is there. With the help of gear pump, we supply this water. But when water circulated surrounding this engine, so meanwhile, it get completely vaporized. So at the beginning, water temperature will rise. It will reach 200 degrees centigrade. Till then, it will extract sensible heat from engine. When it reach 200 degrees centigrade, then phase change take place. And during phase change, it will extract latent heat from the engine. And latent heat extraction is more than your sensible heat. So it provides sufficient cooling to your engine. So outlet of this engine is not a liquid, it is a steam, hot steam. Now this hot steam is again supplied to a bottom tank only. This is the difference because it is a gaseous form. So it is supplied to bottom tank. When steam move upward because of gas, so during meanwhile it get condensed and converted into drops, and that drops again collected at the bottom tank. So your top tank is normally kept empty. We are not connecting outlet of this engine to the top tank. So in evaporator type cooling system, we are using a latent heat of vaporization of water to cool down the engine.